Welcome to the Graphic Design Mastery Level assignment with Canva. This one is a client and a creative brief. So for this assignment, the first thing that I want to point out is actually at the bottom of the page here. This is where we have the deliverables section. In the deliverables section, you'll see the basic requirements for all of the projects that need to be submitted. This project consists of 4 different parts. A 1 foot by 1 foot logo that we will create using Canva, a 1080 by 1080 pixel Instagram graphic that we will use to promote the fun atmosphere of the business, a 8.5 by 11 inch letter paper flyer promoting our newly installed lizard baths, and lastly a 72 inch by 36 inch landscape banner promoting our sidewalk sale. There's a few important details that we need to go over when we're looking at these deliverables. The first thing I want to point out is these parentheses. Inside of parentheses, you'll see the size of document that we need to create using Canva. So if I go onto Canva, and hit skip on this pop-up, I'll go to create a design, and I'll just go back and double check what size I need. So we can see that I need canvas print square. I'm going to switch back to Canva and search for canvas print square. I'll select the top one here. We can see if we hover over it that it is in fact 12 inches by 12 inches. I'll click on this one to open a new document. So now we have a blank document in front of us that is the correct size. But what are we supposed to do with it? Well, if we check on Google Classroom, we can find more information. So on this one, we're trying to design a new logo for the business. The rules are that it must contain at least 1 lizard in the logo. If we scroll all the way up to the top here, you can see that there are a little bit more information provided about the business. So in the About My Business section, you will find what the business is, and we can see that it is called Too Many Lizards, specializing in all things lizards. We can also see that the address of the business is listed here as well. Too Many Lizards is located at 123 Scaly Avenue. Also important to note are the brand colors right here and the brand fonts. Each of these must be used in our design somewhere in order to get full credit for all parts of this assignment. Please note that even though we're going to use our logo in every part of this project, just having your brand color in your logo and then placing your logo inside of the other components of this project is not enough. You'll want to make sure that you have these colors, at least one of them, being used in a new part of the design every time you turn something in. The same goes for these brand fonts as well. So if I switch on over to my Canva tab where we will begin working, I'm going to start by going to Elements here. And because this project is called Too Many Lizards, the first thing that we're probably going to want to search for is simply a lizard. I'm going to grab this cute little guy, as he's been popular with my classes. As a reminder, on Canva, we can resize things by grabbing these corners and clicking and dragging to resize. Once I let go of my mouse button, it will finalize the size change. Next, we also have this rotation property at the bottom. If I click and drag on this, it will allow me to rotate anything that I add to my canvas. I'm going to let go once I find the position that I want. On many of these shapes, we're able to customize colors. You can see that in the top left here, where we have these 3 colored boxes. I'm going to select this green one here, or this lighter green one here, and just for the sake of demonstration, let's try changing the color. You can change the color just by using the default colors here, but a more nuanced approach is to click on this icon right here and click and drag in order to change the color. We can also click and drag down here to change the hue of the color. You might also notice that there's a code presented right here. This is what's known as a hex code. Hex codes are very specific designations for colors. If you'll recall, on the Google Classroom assignment, we have codes listed under brand colors. So if I wanted to use this olive green and I want to really make sure I had the right one, I would select this code right here, and I would hold Control on my mouse, click on the code, and select Copy. Then I'll switch back over to Canva and click on the search bar up here. I'll hold Control again, click on the search bar, let go of Control, and select Paste. The top result that comes up is going to be the exact color that we need. While it is possible to use this on shapes such as our lizard here, I highly encourage you to use these colors as part of either the background, or a really good idea is to use it in any words that we have on our project. Speaking of words, it's about time we get started with adding a brand font onto our project. I'm going to switch back to Canva. Then I'm going to go to the text section. I'm just going to hit Add a Heading. This will create a default text that we can move around by using this crosshair icon at the bottom. I'm going to move this up above my lizard. Now, I'm just going to triple click on it to select all of the words. This is when we're going to refer back to our brand fonts to find out what exactly we want to be using. So our two fonts for this project are currently Shorthand and Collective. I happen to like Shorthand a lot. I'm going to use that. Switching over to Canva and clicking on this bar up at the top will open the fonts menu. Here, I will search for Shorthand, and we'll see that it pops up. When I click on the search result, you can see that the style of the text has changed. As I mentioned before, text is a really easy opportunity for us to add a color as well. So let's try yellow-green right here. I'm going to once again copy the code by holding Control, clicking on it, letting go of Control, and selecting Copy. Then I'll go back to the top, returning to my Canva project, and clicking on this icon right here. The location of text color is slightly different from shape color. I'm going to click on text color. Then I'm going to hold Control, click on my search bar, let go of Control, and hit Paste. I'll select the top result, and that'll get us the exact color that we need. Now, it's going to be important that we replace the text where it just says add a heading, as that's not really relevant to our business. I'm going to select all the text by clicking and dragging from the side. Alternatively, if I triple click, it should select everything. If it doesn't work, try it a few times, and you'll get there eventually. I'm going to replace the text here with Too Many Lizards, because that's the brand name. So now we're starting to cook with oil here. Let's see if we can make this look a little bit fancier though. I want to start by adding some text effects. I'll click on the box here with my text and go to Effects up at the top. Then I'll select Curve at the bottom here. There are a bunch of other effects that you can try experimenting with as well. If I click and drag on this bar underneath where it says Curve, we're able to change how much our words are curving. I think that looks pretty nice. Let's try experimenting with some of the other options on here as well. I like background, as it gives us a really nice classic look for our design. Once again, I recommend playing with each of these sliders and just seeing what kind of feels and looks good. I'm trying to have the border around here be a little bit closer to the words by controlling the spread. And again, I'll play with the transparency and just see what makes sense. In this case, I think I'll leave it at 100. If we want to change the color of our background for our text effect, we can control that right here. Again, just for the sake of example, I'll select one at random. This might be another good opportunity, though, to reintroduce those brand colors. Let's go back up to the top. Here, I'll try just using olive green. I'll click and drag on olive green, hold Control, click on it, release Control, and select Copy. Then I will go down to our color effects here, make sure it's selected, and hit this plus icon on Add a New Color. Where it shows this code, I will hold Control, click on it, let go of Control, and select Paste. For some reason, sometimes this pop-up will occasionally pop up. It claims that this is a pro feature, but if we just exit out, then it will allow us to keep our color selection. You can see that I've verified that this is in fact the same color because the background color did not change when I entered a new code. Alright, so now we have the starts of our design. Maybe we can make this look a little bit fancier. Let's try adding some shapes. We'll go over into Elements here. I'll clear the search bar at the top, and then go down to Lines and Shapes. Here I will select See All. Now there are a million different directions that we can go with this. Let's try, for example, placing our lizard on this nice rectangle right here. But unfortunately, now we're covering up our lizard. In order to fix this, I'll hold Control, click on the square, let go of Control, and then I will select Send Backward. This will place the square behind the lizard. If you notice, this box is a little bit different than some of our other shapes because it has these icons in the center of the shapes. If I click and drag on this, it'll allow me to make one side bigger or smaller while leaving the others the same. And I think this is starting to look a little bit more interesting. I'm going to rotate my lizard here and have it look like he's crawling up along this box. Then I will once again change the colors on here. As a reminder, we only have to use one brand color. We don't necessarily have to be using all of them, and we don't have to be using them all of the time. The brand colors are designed to look really nice together. However, if we wanted to, we could use our own custom paint job. Let's try, for example, this teal might look nice. And we'll try, let's see. Let's try this green right here. That's looking pretty nice. I am noticing that the dark side of this lizard is becoming a little bit hard to see when I stack things on top like this. I'm going to select my lizard. I'm going to select this darker green. And let's just try hitting this plus icon and brightening it up a little bit just by going directly up. Now he's a little bit easier to see. Lastly, if we want to change the color of our background, we can do that by clicking on the background, going to this icon in the top left, and selecting a color from here. Once again, we have the option of creating our own color by hitting Add a New Color and adjusting our settings inside of here. And I feel like that is a decent start to our logo here. I will generally reward students who spend more time trying and experimenting with new ideas on each step of this process. For example, this logo could probably use a lot more shapes. Shapes are a fantastic way to add creativity into your project, and is the foundation for a lot of graphic design work that you see out in the wild today. Try experimenting with a bunch of different shapes, a bunch of different layouts. If something doesn't work, try experimenting with another variation of the same theme, and you might just find that it'll work a little bit better. I'm going to return back to graphic design Canva assignment number 2 to briefly go over the other components. The second part of the project is to create a 1080 by 1080 pixel Instagram graphic. As a reminder, On Canva, we can just search for whatever is inside of the parentheses here, and that will allow us to create a graphic that is the right size. With our Instagram graphic, the main thing that we want to make sure we're getting across is bring your lizard to work day. And we can see that in the description right here. But we can also see that it must include our new logo. Well, how do we transfer our new logo that we just created over into a new design? We're going to go back to Canva and hit Home. Then we'll hold Control and click on where it says Home currently and select Duplicate. This is just to make sure that we have two copies of Canva open at the same time. I already had one open just by chance, so I'm going to close that. If I scroll down on Canva, I can see the design that I just created. I'll click on it to open it. Then I will return home. From here, I'll go to Create a Design, and I will search for Instagram. I will then select Instagram Post. Now this one looks like it's the same dimensions as the previous one, but just be aware that it's not quite the same. This one is way smaller than the other one, even though it retains the same basic shape. With that out of the way, let's talk about how to transfer our logo over. I'm going to open the tab that has our logo on it. Then I will click and drag to make sure I am selecting everything. At this point, I'm still holding down the mouse button. Now, I will release the mouse button, and this will select all components of our logo. I will hold Control and click on our logo and select Copy. Then I'll switch over to our new page. I'll hold Control, click again, and select Paste. We can see that we have now successfully transferred our logo from one page to the other. Let's make this a little bit easier to work with though. Everything is still currently selected, which is fantastic. I'm going to hold Control, click on our design, let go of Control, and select Group. Now, if I try to move any part of my design around, the whole thing will move with it. If I try to resize it, all parts of the design will be resized. So for the Bring Your Lizard to Work day, it might make sense to tuck our logo into a corner and focus on using the central space to get the idea across of Bring Your Lizard to Work. Again, we'll want to make sure that we're taking the time to look at the required elements, as this is a really easy way that students end up missing points. Lastly, let's talk about submitting our designs. I'm going to switch back to my logo here that I've created as an example of a project to turn in. I will select Share up at the top right, go to Download, and then I will make sure that I have selected PNG. The way we know this is supposed to be PNG is by looking at the Google Classroom assignment. In parentheses here, it will show us how we should be turning in the file. So this will be a PNG file. This stands for Portable Network Graphic. I will return back to our logo, make sure that PNG is selected by clicking on this box, and then hit Download. We can now see that it started downloading. You may get a prompt on your screen asking if you would like to allow Safari or your web browser of choice to allow downloads. If you do get that pop-up, just make sure you hit Yes or Accept. This will allow us to download the file successfully. You can see that the Mac has automatically opened up our design for us. We don't really need this at this point, so I'll hit this red button up at the top left to exit out of it. I will return to Google Classroom. And unfortunately, I'm not able to show it here, but if we select Upload Assignment, then we should be able to go to Browse on the screen that pops up. Sorry, I will rephrase that. We'll hit Add a File and make sure we select File. Then, on the first screen that pops up, we'll go to Browse. Select Downloads on the left side of the screen and click through the files that are available to you. It should look similar to, but not entirely like, this screen here. We can see that the design that I've just created is up here at the top. If I want to verify that this is the right one, I will select Spacebar to open a larger version. I've confirmed that this is the correct one, and we'll just hit Spacebar again, and then I will hit Upload on this screen to make sure that the file is attached onto the assignment. Lastly, and this is an important step, make sure you hit the Submit button. If you do not hit the Submit button, I will not receive your assignment, and I will not be able to give you your grade for all the hard work that you've done in my class. That wraps up our introduction on how to do a client in a creative brief mastery level Canva assignment. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to ask. I'm always happy to help a student who is ready to learn. Thank you, and I will see you all in class or in the next video. Thank you.